You're listening to the Behind the Village podcast, where we invite you to join us on a journey to understand how to live a life worth living. Mark is someone who's been part of my life and my family's life for many years. When I first asked Mark Vessey to be a guest on our podcast, his exact response was, interestingly enough, 3 months ago it would have been an outright no. But as he continued, he said that due to recent events in his life, he would be happy to join us. Mark began his working life by running away and joining the circus at 16 years old. He then pursued marine navigation in college. Eventually making his way to Aurelia, Mark ran the kitchen at Brewery Bay Food Company for a number of years before burning out and adjusting to his most recent career as the owner of Memorial Auto Services. He achieved his ultimate goal of retiring before the age of 50, and 3 months after retirement was given a cancer diagnosis that changed everything.
I was running the kitchen at Brewery Bay Food Company for a number of years and burnt out doing that, maxed out on my salary, needed a career change, and auto mechanics was something I knew nothing about, had no involvement in, but it was an affordable way to go back to school and change my career path. So hopped on board, tried it out, and went from there.
That's
Wow.
really cool. I don't think I knew that you had this whole like circus career out of
Yeah,
high
it was.
school.
Yeah,
That's
I'll have to go through the photo album with you sometime.
Oh, please. I would love to see it. Um yeah, I love hearing that because it's kind of one of the things that I feel like we're on that path a little bit too in terms of like switching careers and like you get to a point where you have burnt out or you've capped out or you've hit that
Or
point
it's not fun anymore.
where
Like
it's
it's
not
not, it's not the same. It doesn't work the same.
I'll be honest with you, that is 100% how I've lived my life. If it's not entertaining me and it's not making me giggle, I'm not gonna do it.
Mm.
I like it.
It's I need
How did you
to
end up like having that? Is this just instinctual or is this something that you kind of learned? Like,
it's just who I am. It's who I've always been. It's just, you gotta have fun. You have to enjoy what we're doing.
Absolutely. That's super cool. I don't know. I feel like that resonates with me. Is just like trying to find things in life that are gonna give me that fulfillment.
Yeah, yeah.
but
Well, I mean, we'll get to it. We're not quite there in the conversation yet, but even the retirement job, it took me back 30 years to where I started with college with the Marine Nav program. So
While connecting and chatting about his life and his past, we wanted to know what it was like to juggle work and a young family.
the biggest thing for us being sort of a double income young family around work was the cost of daycare. That was our biggest struggle.
mhm.
With both of us sort of working a 9 to 5, Monday to Friday job, we had no option other than early daycare for the kids. So by the time they were basically after the 1 year mat leave, they were straight into full time daycare. And I think at one point we were spending close to 30,000 a year for the two kids in full time daycare.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
as a young couple, new home, new in our jobs, that was a pretty hefty expense. Jen at one time considered not working or going down to very part time and being a stay at home mom with the children. And she said, it'll save us the daycare expense. And at that time, I kind of thought, you know what, we're still going to lose. Right now, we're losing 50% of her income towards childcare. If she stays home, we lose 100%. And so
Mhm.
that's going to tap into our groceries and fun money and even clothing and footwear for the kids, stuff like that. So it's no, we in essence, we both need to be working full time, and unfortunately, we have to sacrifice that time with the children, and that was tough for both of us. Just not being as present as early parents as we would have liked to have been.
Mhm. Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's a tough one. I
But
feel that for sure.
to some degree, it is modern society. That's just how it is nowadays. I bought the shop in 2008, and my first was born in 2009. So by the time I had kids, I was already a business owner. It allowed me or granted me a lot of freedom to come and go as I please, to be more present and be more available for the kids, with pickup and drop off around appointments, schedules, birthdays. And I mean, early stages as a business owner, I had to be very present there. I couldn't just up and run, but but I could take off for 10 minutes. I could tell the staff, hey, got to get the kids to school. I've got to be here, got to be. I could come and go a lot more readily than I could had I been working for somebody else. So that
Yeah.
definitely was a benefit and did make it a lot easier to transition into family life because I did have that little extra freedom.
As parents ourselves, we often feel this pressure to try and give our kids everything, everything they want, everything we didn't have, all of our attention. We're losing sight of the bigger picture and what's truly the most important.
Probably the key takeaway that I learned going through it all was you can do these big, massive, incredible birthday parties for the kids. You can spoil them rotten. At the end of the day, sometimes it's that little comment in the vehicle going down the road that passed over you and you didn't even notice it, but that is the kid's fondest memory. Just that one little snippet of conversation that they couldn't stop giggling and belly laughing over. And to
Mm.
them, that's going to be their biggest, most important memory. So we need to stop wasting our time on trying to go over and above and making sure that everything's perfect. Sometimes it's just being present and being in the moment with the children that matter the most.
I
Yeah,
love that. Yeah, because it's true. Like that's kind of the idea of what we're trying to figure out is like how do you slow down? How do you be present? How do you actually, pay attention to the things that matter, right?
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
so easy to get caught up in that. And, I got to work more. I got to do this more. I got to, we got to do birthday parties. We got to do this, and we don't have to.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's the moments that matter, and it's a lot of times it's the little moments that we don't even recognize that are the most important. And sometimes what seems the most important to you is completely insignificant to be it your partner, your employer, or the child themselves. It it's the hard part is figuring out which moments are the important ones.
Mm.
Yeah.
And how do you figure out that out for your own life?
It's a work in progress. I will never profess to have the secret or the key to that answer. It is definitely a work in progress. But what I'm recognizing is just paying attention to the reaction of my kids.
Mm.
I just my 14-year-old is such a sarcastic, dark little monster. She's amazing. I love her to death. But sometimes it's just that sly little grin or that sideways glance that she gives me. It's like, oh yeah, she like that.
There it is.
Yeah, there it is, and that's the answer right there, and that's all the answer I need.
With so much going on in our lives, one of the struggles that June and I have is how often we talk about business outside of business hours. Honestly, there was a stretch where June and I only related to each other and spoke about business. And it's only recently where we've discovered that there's actually so many other things that we could be talking about. June and I also really struggle with letting work issues consume our brain space far longer than they should. Mark had some great insight about that.
For the most part, come 5 p.m., I turn my business brain off, and I very much tried to keep a separation between home and business. Even for a number of years, we lived directly above the shop, and everybody asks, how is it? How do you keep business and home separated? And said the minute I walk out the door of the shop and head up to my apartment, is business is closed for the day. It's not on my thought. It's off my radar. It's not something I'm concerned with. Now it's all about family time. And definitely there were times where phone calls would come in, bankers, lawyers, whoever, whatever the case may be. There were definitely times where I couldn't keep that separation. In those instances, it would just be deal with it, get it done, don't let it drag out, and back to the family as quickly as possible. One of the things I always tell my kids, and I've been telling them this for years, and it's something I still try and reinforce with them, is don't stress over the things that you can't control. You need to focus on what is in your control. First and foremost, about the only thing that you are in 100% control of is how you choose to react and respond to a situation. Um, when something arises, when something comes up, you can choose to go off the handle, blow it out of proportion, let it bring you down, stress you out, or you can choose to look at that situation and go, you know what? only one aspect of that is in my control, so I'm going to focus on that point. All of the points in the situation that are going to drag me down and stress me out, nothing I can do about it, out of my control. So no point focusing on that. Let's put my focus and my energy on the positives, on the parts that I can improve and make a change to. And by focusing on those areas, I was able to see progress and change. If I start focusing on all the negative stuff that I can't change, it's out of control, that's um, unattainable, I'm wasting my time and spinning my wheels. So let's not expend that energy in that direction. Let's just shut down those areas and focus on the areas that we definitely can move forward in. The other stuff, it's going to be there. That stress from work, it'll be there in 20 minutes after I get the kids tucked in.
Mhm.
Back of my mind, I'm sure I'm mulling over and there is stuff going on. How am I going to handle this? What am I? But I try not to let that drag my focus and attention away from the children in that moment. Something that was said to me a little while back, and it really resonated with me very strongly. Um, Say there's 1,440 minutes in every single day.
Mm.
Of those 1,440 minutes, you may start your day, you open your emails while you're having your morning coffee, and you get that one email that just sets you off and puts you in a bad mood. That one email, are you going to take your 5, 10 minutes, absorb it, realize it, recognize it, then move on? Or are you going to let that email nag at you and nip at you and chew at you all day long? What I've learned in that 1,440 minutes in every single day, I'm going to give that email, that little upsetting piece of information, I'm going to allow it 5 minutes of my time. It's only going to interrupt my day for 5 minutes. I have the rest of those 1,440 minutes to improve my day and move forward. Or
Wow.
I could choose to let that one email ruin 260 minutes of my day, or I could let that email ruin half of my day. That's my decision. That's up to me.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
I am 100% in control of how much of my time, of my day, of my energy is expended over that email. It's only worth 5 minutes of my time.
Yeah,
No,
I
it's
like that. That's
Yeah, I
it's
like that quite a
profound.
lot, yeah. Yeah, I've never actually thought about the fact, like, how many minutes there are, but there is, like, there's a lot of minutes,
It's
obviously, right?
finite.
It's and just thinking about it from that minute perspective, just how much time you spend mulling things over or stressing out or like whatever, and how many minutes it actually takes, and you start saying, "Oh, it's like hundreds," like it's or whatever it is, and it's like that's not good. Like this is not where you should be focusing your time, your attention, right? Like yeah,
yeah,
that's
yeah.
crazy.
And then
That's pretty cool.
I mean, you factor in how many minutes of those you spend sleeping, resting, relaxing, unwinding. Um, so we don't have those extra minutes to give away to those wasted moments, energies. So it's accept it, realize it, move on.
With some fantastic thoughts and insight that has already shaped the way we're living and approaching business, we wanted to hear about the incredible moment of achieving retirement before 50 and seeing his excitement lead him in a direction that connected to his past.
Long-term goal, I wanted to be retired by 50. That was long-term. I was able to achieve retirement in my 48th year, which was awesome.
Wow.
Unbelievable. So, um, yeah, it was exceptional. I had absolutely zero plans, no ambition. Everybody said, "What are you doing next?" And I have no idea. I'm going to wait until something sort of piques my interest, something makes me laugh or giggle, and I'll go with it. And I'll carry on that path until something else excites me more or pulls me in a different direction. But my intent through retirement was simply do whatever keeps me entertained, keeps me laughing, allows me time with my wife and my kids, allows me time with my parents. I mean, thankfully, we still have all of our parents in our lives, and I wanted the time to be with everybody, make those memories, those moments, and make them all count.
And
And
what did you
that's
end up doing after retirement? What did you find?
so flipping through stupid videos on Facebook. An ad for Santa's Village is looking for boat captains. Apply
Ooh,
here. I clicked on apply now. A couple days later, the hiring manager called me and he said, "We have never had an applicant this full, this prepared for the position we're trying to fill." And it was a result of the Marine Nav program I took 30 years ago. And
that's
Wow.
awesome. Full circle.
yeah, yeah. And it was, you've seen the boat, you know what it looks like. It was just, oh my God, I'm going to be captain of that boat. It was just hysterical. It was a big sort of ha-ha. It was a joke. It was hysterical, and it was exactly what I needed. It was exactly what I was looking for. They ended up getting me through the training and licensed with Transport Canada as what with the it's Master Mariner restricted under 60 gross ton restricted waterways was the official captain's license I got. So basically, commercial captain on boats under 60 gross tons. Um, it, Probably the proudest moment in anything I had accomplished in my life was getting that captain's license. And
That's super cool.
it, it all started off as a joke, just on a whim.
But I love that way of living, right? That way of just outlook on life to just, whatever makes you giggle, whatever makes
Yeah.
it's fun, just go for it because you never know what's gonna happen, right?
Unfortunately, after enjoying only 3 months of life post retirement, Mark received some really devastating news.
Yeah. So, and I mean, realistically, I've been chasing this for this coming Christmas. It'll be 3 years. I've just had random abdominal and back pain. Um, 3 years ago, I had all the scopes done. It seemed like nothing major. Maybe a little surgery if it was an ulcer or something to that effect. But in, out, done, no big deal. And ended up a 10-day stay in the hospital. Biopsy came back as stage 4 pancreatic cancer. They basically they've given me 9 to 11 months. That was August 1st.
Wow.
Wow.
So from retirement in May to August 1st. Wow. Yeah. Plans changed. Plans changed hard and fast.
What changed for you?
I quit work immediately. I'm on high enough levels of opioids. I probably shouldn't be driving a commercial vessel, but I can start getting into what they refer to as chemo brain. Just sort of foggy, not clear thoughts. On both the vessels that I was running, things can happen quickly, and I need to be of clear mind and be ready to move and react very, very quickly for the safety of myself and the vessel and every passenger on board. And I made the conscientious decision with the treatment and the diagnosis that, you know what, I don't feel I'm 100% in charge of all of the faculties that I need to be in command of the vessel the way I should be. So we're just calling it, and I quit work completely. I'm a homebound, stay-at-home dad, I guess now for two teenagers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was that shift like going from, because it happened so close together in time that, the retirement almost a celebratory, like you had one path and then from one day to the next it was a completely different situation.
I very, very quickly, and I'm not sure why, resigned myself to the fact or accepted my fate. In that I just said, you know what, I'm going to die. This is going to kill me, and it could be very quickly. I mean, long and short, we just celebrated my birthday, middle of August. We're planning Thanksgiving, and every celebration that we're planning for right now, I'm very aware that this very well could be my last. It could be my last birthday. It could be my last Thanksgiving. This Christmas, I may not even make it to Christmas. We just don't know that, and that's the way the beast of pancreatic cancer works. I know they've given me a term of 9 to 11 months. I might get 6 weeks. I might get 2 years. We just don't know. It's an educated guess. Pancreatic cancer is different in everybody. It's very, very aggressive. Um, it's very fast moving, and there is no cure for it. That's the long and short. And I just took
Mm.
that information and I accepted it. I resigned myself that this is my fate. To some degree, I feel like I got off lucky. I've got the easy end of this whole situation. It's my family that's got to live on without me. My parents that have to lose a son, and no parent should ever have to bury a child.
Mm-mm.
Mhm.
Um, sorry. That the hardest one for me was I went to see my daughter graduate high school,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and that hit me hard.
Mhm.
Best case scenario, I will not be around for her graduation. She just hit grade 9, and I won't get 4 to 5 years.
Yeah, it's tough.
And I'm more heartbroken for them than I'm worried about myself. I've got a finality. I've got an end, and I'm okay with that. I've accepted that, and that made it a hell of a lot easier for me to move forward with the fact that I won't say I don't care about myself, but I don't care about my fate. It is what it is. Again, it comes back to that what I was saying not too long ago that I can only worry about the things that I can make a change to that I can affect. That this I can't.
Yeah.
Um, in speaking the way I am right now, in the candid conversation, I haven't given up, and a lot of people look at my attitude as, "Oh, don't give up," and it's like, I haven't given up. I've accepted the fate,
That's the
that
difference. Yeah.
Yeah.
that is th and the fate is inevitable. Um,
Mhm.
whether it's 2 months, 6 months, 18 months, it's inevitable, and I've accepted that. Having said that, it doesn't mean I've stopped fighting. It doesn't mean that I'm not going to try and prolong it. I know I can't beat it. That's a reality. I mean, it's less than a 1% chance that I'll get 5 years, statistically. I've
Mhm.
always said I'm not a stat, I'm not a number.
Mhm.
I never have been. I've always proven that wrong. You know, when somebody says, "You'll never do that, you can't do that," screw you, watch me, hold my beer. Uh, it's, I've never been one to be put down or told you can't. You say that's impossible, well, watch me. You just challenge me. Um, and it's no different in this situation, in this instance. It it's really difficult watching my family members and all of them, different levels of family. My brother's reaction, we've somewhat been estranged for years. We'd hardly ever talk unless, my brother needed car repairs. We went different paths. We didn't see each other than holidays. The minute I got the diagnosis, he was here. He was in my driveway. Um, Friends I haven't seen in 30 years. My high school sweetheart's flying in next or this coming Friday. She's spending the weekend with us. Um, that's we haven't seen each other since 2001, I think was the last time. We dated through the mid 90s. But we both formative years had a profound impact on each other's lives. Who we are today, a lot of that comes from the relationship we had in that young, carefree teenage um, relationship we had. Um, so yeah, when she heard the diagnosis, it definitely hit hard. But to have that support, to have that kindness, to have that care and love around me is has definitely made things easier.
And when you think about it, because as you're speaking, where my mind is going to is, we all have a point in time, but it's unknown when it's gonna be our turn, right?
Exactly.
It's
It's
just that you've been given a timeline and, you know,
it's made it easier.
and look at what you're choosing to focus on and look at the relationships that are coming out of the woodwork because of a connection that you've had
Yeah,
that you haven't, necessarily fostered over the years because we all get distracted and, life is life and you get busy. But, if we all knew what change would that make? like,
It
what would we focus on?
Like, if we decided to be more present, if we decided to actually pay attention to the things that we care about, just thinking about that idea, right? Like, what would we what would we do, right? What would be how would we spend our time? Would it be different than the way that we are
Mhm.
spending it now, day to day, just kind of as if, yeah, I got plenty of time. I got, uh 20, 40 years still, right? Like to as opposed to like what are you doing right now to be present, to be
Mhm.
happy, to be,
interestingly enough, in the past week, I've really recognized what the answer to that question was. If you had asked me that a couple of weeks ago, I would have hemmed and hawed a little bit, and I wouldn't have really known what to say to you. What I have found in the last week, or recognized, I suppose, is negativity brings me down. I have no time for it.
Mhm.
Um, in conversation, when somebody focuses on the negative, or we're telling a story about an event that happened, and it's all about, oh, this individual came in, or this comment was made. Shut up. I don't want to hear it. I want to hear the fun part of the story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to hear how it ended. I want to hear um, what everybody was wearing. I want to hear about the jokes that were told. I want to hear about the memories that were made. I don't care about the neighbor that complained about the noise and called the cops. I don't care. Unless it turned into a funny story,
Yeah.
I don't care.
Mhm.
And I have absolutely no time, ambition, or energy at this stage of my life for negativity or down talk. Um, it's no longer a part of who I want to be.
Yeah.
And I think human nature, we tend to hold on to the negatives because it's a lot easier to focus on that
Mhm.
than it is to recognize and appreciate the positives.
It
And
is.
that's been a huge shift for me.
And it ties back to what you were saying about the minutes we have every day, right? Like, how many of those minutes are we giving to negativity?
Negativity. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. And even trying to get the kids tucked into bed and they're screaming and crying, and you're stressing about, oh my God, I should be at my computer doing the work. And you know what? We take away the negativity and we focus on the positives, and we get that child smiling and giggling. Do you know what they're going to do? They're going to curl up in your arms. You're both going to feel warm and fuzzy, and they'll fall asleep. With any
Mhm.
luck, with any luck, you might get that nap you didn't realize you needed with them for half an hour.
Mhm.
Yep.
And that moment you wake up and you go, you know what? I've wasted the time, but it was worth every goddamn second.
That was heavy. It was difficult to hear, but honest and moving. Mark spoke from such an unfiltered place that we felt it was important to keep the conversation in. He has such great insight into life and what is truly important, coming from a perspective of having limited time left. We asked if he had any other nuggets or life lessons to share.
I came to a realization. So many of us in our life, we're trying to become that successful individual. We have this goal that we want to achieve, and it's, you know, before I die, I want to be this individual. And I recognized and realized that every one of us on this planet are just an ant. We are insignificant in the big picture. It doesn't matter what we hope to achieve, what we strive to achieve. At the end of the day, the only one we ultimately and truly matter to are the ones in our immediate circle.
Mhm.
So the only goal, the only ambition that I need to achieve to satisfy the people in my immediate circle is happiness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Happiness. If we don't have that, if we're striving for this big ultimate goal and we're giving up, we're sacrificing happiness, what are we doing? Why?
Yeah. What's the point?
Then what are we doing for?
What is the
Yep.
point? And you just asked me that. You said, what is my point? And the point is to be happy
Mhm.
and to give and to love and to have that happiness around you and those friends and that support around you. At the end of the day, that's all that really matters.
What are I just have in the back of my mind, like, there's so many things that you just kinda mentioned that are, like, really, really powerful. Like, I wonder how if there's any other types of outlook that changed after, knowing what you know now about your diagnosis and stuff like that. Is there any other outlooks that you kind of do you see life differently?
It's perception. Um, and my son and I get into this conversation on a fairly regular basis. He's 16 years old. He's a very, very old soul. Um, just to put a little bit of context in, he's high functioning autistic, which you would probably never notice on the daily with him. Um, but he does definitely have a difficult time controlling emotional response
Mm.
to certain situations. So I'm working very hard with him to teach him that the only thing you're ultimately in control of is how you choose to respond to that situation. And normally I'll give him 5-10 minutes, just go calm down, think about it. He comes back and he says, "Okay, here's how I'm feeling." And we realize that his response and my response are so ultimately different because of perception.
Mm.
And it's all in how we're looking at the same statement, comment, situation, scenario, whatever it may be. We're looking at the same thing, but we're looking at it. He's looking in the front window and I'm looking in the back window, and we're
Mm.
seeing it differently. Um, so walk around, look in the other window, have a little different perspective. Um, Instead of making a snap decision, make an informed decision, an informed response.
Yeah.
Mhm. We asked Mark to look back and talk to us about the things he was proud of and some of the things he regrets.
What are things I'm proud of? Yeah, well, definitely my children.
Mm.
Definitely my children. The relationship I'm in now is incredible. That is definitely something I'm proud of. It's something I never knew existed. Um, my parents. I mean, I'm so proud of my parents. No, ultimately, like I said, that captain's license, that was a huge point of pride for me. All of the other ridiculous things I did in life, it was that's what I was doing. That's what made me smile at the time. It wasn't necessarily accomplishments. It wasn't a checklist I was trying to achieve. I was very, very proud of the shop and the little. I used to joke my little empire. I was very proud of that. That was quite an accomplishment, considering I came into it with basically nothing and built it on my own. Um, it that definitely was a point of pride.
I don't know. You don't have to answer this question if you don't want to, but like, do you have any regrets?
I'm going to say yes and no to that question. Yes, there are definitely some things that I look back on and go, "Wow, I wish I had done some things differently." At the end of the day, I'm so satisfied with the life that I live that no, I can't regret anything because every decision I made brought me to today.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I'm not going to call them regrets. Would I have done a few things differently? Absolutely. But I don't regret it because if I hadn't made the choices I had made at that particular moment, I wouldn't be here today.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I like your way of kind of out like looking at things of just what makes me smile, what makes me giggle, what makes
Mhm.
me, and just following that. Like I feel like everybody needs something to follow on, like for choices or for whatever. There's something that that you believe in or that you care about. That's gonna take you to where hopefully where you want to be, right, in life, because that's what you find important.
Mhm.
Well, at the end of the day, if I'm doing something that makes me giggle, that makes me smile, when I come home, I'm going to be a better person to my family. Um, if I'm going to a job that makes me absolutely miserable and brings me down and wears me out, who am I going to be when I come home? I'm going to
Yeah.
be that monster. Um, that's not who my family deserves. It's not who I deserve, and it's not the life I want to live. So I'm going to choose to do things that make me giggle,
Hmm.
um, and make me smile and make me a better man and husband and father. and sun. Um, and it's simply by having fun. It's really not a bad outlook. All I have to be the man I want to be, is have fun. Too often we get tied up in life, we get carried away, and we quit having fun.
Yeah.
What are we here for? What is the purpose? You can, well, I'd say you can try and cure cancer, but that's um, yeah. It just have fun, make
Yeah.
every moment count.
That's kind of the takeaway that I'm getting, is like when you have happiness in your heart, you're going to be the best person you can be, right? In whatever moment that you are in.
My ex-wife's mother used to say they're pearls. She called them pearls. She said there's pearls of wisdom that you'll pick up throughout life. And she said you never know when you'll get those pearls, but when you do, put them in your pocket and hold on tight, because those pearls of wisdom will last you a lifetime. And sometimes it's come in the door at the end of a long day and feeling exhausted, and the kids say, "Hey, Dad, let's go paddle around the lake in the paddle boat." And I'm like, "Oh, I really don't feel like this." But then you get out there and you go, "Wow, I really needed this."
Mm.
And it's just don't forget to go have fun.
This conversation truly impacted both June and myself in such a beautiful and profound way, and we're so thankful to Mark for being willing to be this open with us. Mark himself messaged us after to thank us for the opportunity to speak, and how it had helped him feel very light and invigorated. He hopes his words resonate with at least a few people. That so often in life it feels as if we don't have a voice, and that it was nice to have a platform to share his ramblings. As of the recording and release of this episode, Mark is still fighting the good fight and fulfilling his mantra of doing things in life that are fun and make him giggle.
Thank you for listening to the entire episode. All the links and info you heard in this conversation will be featured in the show notes on our website. If you'd like to know more about anything we mentioned in this episode, make sure to check villagermagazine.ca/podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you're listening from. If you'd like to help this podcast grow, consider subscribing to our podcast channels like YouTube or Spotify so you never miss an episode. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time.